Okay, a curve C has equation y equals x squared times e to the x. Find dy by dx using the product rule for differentiation. So what's the product rule? The product rule is the derivative with respect to x of some function f of x times g of x is equal to f prime of x times g of x plus f of x times g prime of x. So essentially we differentiate the first part and times it by the second part, and then add the first part times the derivative of the second part. So that's going to give us dy by dx is equal to 2x e to the x plus x squared e to the x. So we can factor out an e to the x, and that's just equal to e to the x times x squared plus 2x. And if you want, you can factor out an x, so that's going to be e to the x times x times x plus 2. Okay, B, hence find the coordinates of the turning points of the curve C. So a turning point is going to be when the derivative of the function is equal to 0. So one of these examples, or perhaps where we have an inflection point here. That's another case where the derivative of the function will equal 0. So when will the derivative equal 0? Well, let's just first think about e to the x, the function, the graph of e to the x. So this is a graph of y equals e to the x. And you can see that it's asymptotic at the x-axis. So y equals e to the x. That cannot equal 0. E to the x cannot equal 0. So the derivative of this function, e to the x times x plus 2, is only going to equal 0 at 2 points. It's going to equal 0 when x equals 0, because e to the x times 0 times this is just 0, and it's going to equal 0 when x plus 2 equals 0. In other words, when x equals minus 2. Okay, so we just need to plug x equals 0 and x equals minus 2 into the original function to find the y coordinates. So let's do that. Y equals 0 squared times e to the 0. Well, e to the 0 is 1, but we're timesing it by 0, so this just equals 0. So we have our first turning point at the coordinate 0, 0. And we'll do the same for negative 2. Y equals negative 2 squared times e to the negative 2, which just equals 4e to the negative 2, which equals 0.54 something, going on for forever. So this just gives us the coordinates of -2, 0.54 ... There we go. And we have our two turning points.